What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, a very special person helped me decide and make the decision on who's going to win this highly anticipated super middleweight showdown that's long overdue, but I'm glad we got it today between undefeated two-time WBC super middleweight world champion, Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer David the Mexican Monster Benavidez, and former IBF super middleweight world champion superstar boxer Caleb Sweethand Plant that's set to take place tonight. This is a fight that's long overdue. This is a fight that we have been anticipating while both guys were former world champions, okay? Now, they're both former world champions, and that is due to two types of different results as to why they're former world champions, okay? That being the fact that Caleb Plant, who has 22 wins, 1 loss, no draws, 13 wins by way of knockout, 30 years of age, 6'1" with a 74-inch arm reach. Caleb Plant, he lost a knockout loss to four-time, four-division world champion Mexican superstar boxer who is widely considered by many to be the face of the sport of boxing, and that is the undisputed super middleweight world champion Saul Canelo Alvarez. That was back in November of 2021. He lost an 11th round knockout to Canelo Alvarez. On the other hand, David Benavidez, who has 26 wins, no losses, no draws, 23 big wins by way of knockout, 26 years of age, 6'2" with a 75.5-inch arm reach. David Benavidez, he lost his belt to recreational use outside the sport of boxing. And the last time he missed weight on the scale, he was stripped of his title. Okay, now that was due to a global pandemic that we was all dealing with. It was a very, very odd time. There was no fans in attendance. People was stuck and sheltered in their houses. And David Benavidez, he didn't have a gym, to participate. He couldn't train like he wanted to. So he missed weight on the scales. Nonetheless, in this fight, this is a fight that we wanted to see when Caleb Plant held the IBF title and he beat Jose Escatiki, and David Benavidez was the WBC champion for unification bout. This is before Canelo Alvarez, he decided to campaign in super middleweight division, okay, and became the face of the division. And so with that said, this is a very, very hard fight to be able to decide who's going to be the victor, okay? Because Caleb Plant, it's the tale of two halves, in my opinion, because we know that Caleb Plant, he has durability, stamina issues, and he fades in the second half of fights. And then the flip side of that, he is a very, very good, pure boxer that has combination punches, fast hands, fast feet, high ring IQ, and he's slick. With that said, David Benavidez, nickname is the Mexican Monster for a reason. He's very aggressive. He's very big. He has very fast hands, combination punches, and he has respectable power in both hands. He's not a one-punch knockout artist, but he's an accumulation puncher that, overwhelms you. He presses you every second of every minute of every round, and he puts a lot of physical and mental pressure on his opponents, and they eventually succumb to it and they crack. And so, in speaking to this very special person that helped me decide who was going to be the victor in this fight, and the reason being is that feeling like David Benavidez pressure is going to eventually get to Caleb Plant in the second half of this fight. Now, also feeling like Caleb Plant could definitely outbox David Benavidez, right? Because he has the tools to outbox David Benavidez. But ultimately feels like David Benavidez is going to, put a lot of physical, mental pressure, as he normally does, on Caleb Plant. And that pressure is going to see Caleb Plant succumb to that pressure, right? And so I have to agree. This was a very hard decision, and I was convinced when this very special person let me know, listen, I believe that, David Benavidez's style, and it was also hard for them to also make the decision as well and boil it down to David Benavidez being the victor in this fight. And so with that said, I was seesawing back and forth. This very special person was seesawing back and forth. And ultimately, we came to the conclusion that, David Benavidez pressure. You got to go with the pressure of David Benavidez. He's proven that he doesn't fade. He's proven that, he's durable. He's proven that his power lasts from rounds 1 through 12. He's proven that, he can take punches on the chin, withstand that. When he faced off against Ronald Graville and he was dropped by a jab, he still got up and still won those fights, right? He was getting outboxed by Anthony Durrell, but he eventually weathered that and he stopped Anthony Durrell, right? And Caleb Plant, even in his victory against Jose Uzcategui, right? He faded in the second half. Now, he dropped Uzcategui, I believe it was 2 times in that fight. But in the second half, he started to fade and started to let Uzcategui back into the fight that he was actually dominating. And in his fight with Canelo Alvarez, I thought that he was outboxing Canelo Alvarez in the first half of the fight. And as the fight went on and played out, he started to fade in that fight. Now, ultimately, in his last fight, which was October 15th of 2022, when he faced off against Anthony Durrell and he brutally knocked out Anthony Durrell in the 9th round of that fight, I didn't truly see much fade weathering from him starting to weather and fade in that fight. I thought that, he kept up the pace. It was a lot of inside fighting. And one thing that concerned me about this fight for Caleb Plant is, for one, if he utilizes the ring and utilizes the movement. Now, David Benavidez doesn't cut the ring off in the best manner, right? He doesn't, he tends to follow his opponents around, right? Opposed to cutting the ring off and, stopping, being able to put that pressure on him. But he tends to follow his opponents at times, right? He did so with David Lemieux. He did so with Anthony Durrell, and that allows his opponents to outbox him. But he keeps coming, right? And Caleb Plant, if he's utilizing movement in this fight, so there's 2 aspects that give me cause for pause that's to picking Caleb Plant. Now, there's a strong part of me because for years, when they both was champion, both undefeated before Canelo Alvarez campaign, I said that Caleb Plant will win this fight. But, as I saw him, down the stretch, I feel like Caleb Plant is going to fade. So one thing, if he's utilizing the ring and utilizing movement, right, I feel like that's going to zap some of his energy, along with having to also lay big punches on David Benavidez to keep him honest, right? He has to definitely land clean, hard punches to keep David Benavidez honest, because if he don't, right, David Benavidez is going to walk right through his punches and start trapping him on the ropes at times, right? And he's going to slow down his movement, and then it'll be more engagement opposed to him trying to find Caleb Plant. It'll be more sitting down. So with that said, another thing is, I've heard Breadman, who's the trainer, well-renowned trainer of Caleb Plant, and he stated that, who said he's going to do a lot of movement, right? Who's to say that he don't just stand there in the pocket because Benavidez gets hit, which he does. He does get hit, but that's playing into his game plan. And does Caleb Plant have the does he have the durability, and does he have the stamina, right? And will his chin hold up in that type of situation, right, with David Benavidez? Because he's going to absolutely have to obliterate and knock out David Benavidez if he stands in the pocket with him. Right now, he can make him miss in the phone booth, and he could counter him cleanly, but that's going to take a lot of energy. And again, until proven otherwise, we have seen Caleb Plant fade in the second half of the fight. So that's my concern. But I do think that Caleb Plant has all the tools to outbox David Benavidez. It ultimately comes down to his durability, his stamina, and his conditioning, which has shown us in the past, again, in his big fights. His last 2 big fights with the Jose Uzcategui was for his first world title, and his fight with Canelo Alvarez for undisputed. He faded in the second half. Now, he's 1-1 in those situations because he did win the fight against Jose Uzcategui. He was so far ahead on the cards, and he dropped him twice. I thought that, he could absolutely put it in cruise control. And at that point, I thought that's what he did, but then he showed it again in other fights. So then the fight with Canelo Alvarez, where he started to engage with Canelo Alvarez, having conversations, started to fatigue, started getting caught with punches. And so I thought that he faded in that fight. Now, again, in the Anthony Durrell fight, I didn't see much of him fading in that fight. But, you know, and he did get a 9th round knockout, so that's late in the fight. But I just think that David Benavidez is a completely different quote unquote monster. So let's see how this unfolds. I got David Benavidez winning this fight in the late rounds of this fight. The special person said in the later rounds. I'm saying in round 11. I got David Benavidez stopping Caleb Plant in the 11th round. Let's see how it unfolds. Let's see how it unfolds and plays out. That's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue. I'm gone. Peace.
This is Amanda, the real deal Serrano, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.